By
The
the
other
way,
annoying
I
thing
just
is when you make somebody host, just in case, just
Mhm,
for FYI, you
mhm.
actually get demoted to a regular user. You're not even a co-host at that point. So I
Yeah.
just make you a co-host.
Okay.
It's I
Are you
don't
going
know
to keep
why they do that. Like the host gives up
you
everything as soon as they make someone else host.
copy?
Thing is when you make somebody host.
Mhm.
All right, our live stream is up to YouTube. And then uh, we'll start the cloud recording at 7
You got it.
separately.
And a good evening to everybody else who is coming in tonight. We're slowly getting that entrance in here. Good to see Mark Sanchez, Anna Gamboa, Julian Jackson Roman. Good to see you, my friend. Hope all is well with you. George Denny and Julie Hayes, welcome. We are getting close to the top of the hour, 3 minutes away. Again, we're going to start off our actual session about 7:05. We're going to give a few more people a chance to come in, but we've got a good group of people who are marching in right now. So we will start on time at 7:05 and we'll go from there. I will tell you folks right here, and I will reiterate it before we kick off. I will not entertain any questions during the presentation because we have a number of slides we need to get through. And save your questions for the Q&A session, because if you hang around long enough, your question might get answered during the presentation itself. So everybody, thank you for being here. Georgia, good to see you. It's been a minute. Good to see you out there. And let's see. Mitch, it's good to see you. 7 CPAB 1, Justin, and Jermaine from over in Battalion 6. Good to see you guys. So we'll be kicking off just shortly. So stand by, Patrick. I know you've got everything. You have the bridge for a moment, as I like to say. And everybody, welcome to the All About Being a General Cert member presentation for tonight. It is the top of the hour, 1900 hours here in the West. Everybody who is joining us, we will be getting underway in about 5 minutes. And I know we have people here from other areas of the city, possibly the country. We welcome you, and we will get started shortly.
Do you know if you got a boost from the email blast I sent out with this? Chin? Hey, Chin, do you know if you got a boost from the email blast I sent out? You're muted. Yeah.
Yes. Definitely did. And that was incredible. It was a really, really good boost. So it definitely worked. I was wondering what was going on there. So that worked out. All right, guys, we are about 1 minute off from takeoff, 1 minute off from taking off on this ship. So let's get ready. All righty. 7:05. And for those of you who have been on meetings with me, know that I'm pretty hard on time. I like to get started when I say I'm going to get started and finish +or -5. At least I like to feel that way. So, a good evening to everybody. And Patrick, the recording is going, I assume, right?
Yes, it is.
All right. It's like we are recording this little operation here. So,
And live
everybody,
streaming to YouTube as well.
all right, and good evening to everybody who is watching this via YouTube and who are joining us here on Zoom. We've got 29 people here on Zoom, which is wonderful. And again, good evening to everybody from whatever time zone you're coming from whatever city you're coming from, and for those members who are here in the Los Angeles area, city of Los Angeles, Cert. Tonight, I am happy to present to you something called All About Being a Basic Cert Member. This particular presentation fits into a series of three presentations that we have done. The first presentation is all about call out. The second one is what do our coordinators do? And the third one is this one. It's kind of in a reverse order, but we can run it, backwards, forwards, whatever it is. The idea is to educate our members on all levels, whether you're just a general CERT member or a coordinator or a call out team member, about what the program is and what it offers. So up to this point, we've done the other two presentations, and tonight we're going to highlight. The general CERT member, which is really all of us. Even if you're a coordinator or a call out team member, you're still a basic CERT member on the you know for the most part. So we're going to highlight that tonight. So what I'm going to do is I am actually going to go from here, put up the presentation, which you guys have been looking at. Patrick, can we see the screen?
It's still saying the will begin shortly.
Good.
There, next slide.
So it's changed
Yes.
to all about being a member of CERT. And this is part of the All About Call Out series, which I just talked about. And again, good evening to everyone and welcome to you all. Past subjects, we just talked about that, all about call out and all about what our coordinators do. If you want to look and see those past Zoom sessions, you can go right to the address at the bottom of the screen. You can go into YouTube and just type in LAFD Cert LAFD Cert coordinators. And Patrick, is it also LAFD Cert continuing education as well?
Um, the channel I believe is called um, LAFD Cert Continuing Education. Yes, but
Yes.
the link is LAFD Cert Coordinators.
Yeah, and it's funny, I just happened to notice this, which kind of threw me a little bit because but I just wanted to check with you and thank goodness you're here. You validated. If you want to take a look again at these previous two presentations, they are on a playlist on that particular site marked all about. So just go into that playlist and you can look at the previous two presentations, which are really, really in depth. Everything we're doing here is an in depth experience. And a good evening to everybody. It's presented by me. My name is Chin Thomasangsi. Most of you know me here, not everybody. I am a 10-year member of the LAFD Community Emergency Response Team. Previously, I have served as the CERT Battalion 18 coordinator, and I'm the current South Bureau coordinator. And all that pretty much means is that I manage an area. Depends on, if when it was Battalion 18, I managed a particular area, the area I lived in. As the current coordinator, I manage three areas or three battalions. I manage, in addition to Battalion 18, Battalions 13 and 6, and we'll talk about that much later. Other than that, when I'm not doing this, I have 33 years in the television industry. That was my paying job. Um, and that's pretty much it. So that's enough on me, and we can move right into the presentation. And by the way, I like that little helmet on my head there. I thought that was a really fun picture. Let's start with something fun. The human cert adventure is just beginning. What we're going to do in this section is kind of go before we talk about your life as a cert member and talk about the before time, before you became cert. And that starts with the CERT basic training class. I think for everyone here, no matter where you come from, your first association with CERT is taking that CERT basic training class. Same thing is true here in Los Angeles. And by the way, most of our certs know it, but it bears mentioning that the CERT program, the Community Emergency Response Team, started right here in Los Angeles in 1985 as a brainchild of Frank Borden, who is a deputy chief of the Los Angeles City Fire Department. And as you know, It's grown from there and become a national program picked up by FEMA. It's actually even a world program. When Patrick does his presentations on a monthly basis, he's got people here from all three time zones and even other parts of the world like Brazil. And the program is just everywhere. So it's a wonderful program that we all are a part of here. But for all of us, it begins right here with taking this class. For the most part, across the country, and it's a pretty unified um, list of classes that we take. You all have sat through those 7 weeks of training, and you all, at least I'm going to assume that all of you have come out of it with your certificate of completion. When you're in this class, if you're lucky, there's a lot of people. In this particular picture, which comes from 2019, and the class was at our local Cedar Sinai Medical Center, you had a really nice class right here. And these people all graduated that night. There I am at the far right, along with Battalion 18 Coordinator Terrence Gomes. We were there to greet these people and put a face on CERT, showing them what's beyond and telling them what's beyond. I want to talk about a couple of concepts, though. There is a little bit of a difference, and even in this picture, I'll tell you there's a little bit of difference. Um, you have a number of individuals in this photograph who I would categorize as CERT trained individuals. You also have a number of members who I would categorize, get it right one of these days, categorize as CERT team members. What's the difference? The CERT trained individuals are the folks that I see come through the class on a very regular basis. They take the 7 classes, they get their certificate of completion, and you may not ever see them again. They've taken the class maybe for the simple satisfaction of getting basic personal preparedness, but they don't necessarily participate in the team aspect, which is a really important part of what CERT is. But then you have another set of folks who do stick around. And those are the people who end up signing our list that night at the end of the class when we say, hey, you can continue on to be a part of this program and be a part of your neighborhood team. So those are the people who sign up normally, and even a percentage of those who sign up on that list may not ever become active. They may find that it's just not something they want to do. But you do have a percentage of those people who do become active as part of the overall CERT team program. And those are the people who I call CERT team members. And of course, for those who wish to continue, as I just said, in Los Angeles, you will have a coordinator show up at your class, usually on the 7th class, sometimes the 6th class, but usually towards the end. We're given time by our LAFD instructors to talk about the program and tell you what's ahead, joining your team, all of the activities, call out, being a coordinator, different things like that. And we generally talk to you folks about it. And then what we do is we pass around our little clipboard and say, please give us your name, address, telephone number, and email address. The reason why we do it here in Los Angeles, and I don't know how it works in other cities, is you may sign up with the LA City Fire Department to take the CERT class, but the LA City Fire Department does not pass those lists on to us, the volunteer coordinators. The reason being is because our city attorney has cited issues of privacy and liability in case something goes wrong. So they do not wish to share those lists. But what they have said to us is, you guys are the city's volunteer coordinators. Come to the class, do your spiel, and then pass around your list. And people can opt in. And you know what? When you think about it, it's not a bad thing, because you do get those people who at least have some desire to stay connected with the program. That's kind of how it works here in Los Angeles. It may work differently in other cities, but that's how it works here. So, for those of you who have taken the CERT class, especially the nighttime classes, you should have seen at least one of our coordinators, whether it's a bureau coordinator like myself or one of our battalion coordinators, come to your class talk to you about what's next, et cetera, et cetera. In some rare cases, a class gets missed, or a class gets gets completed early, like before the seventh class, and we're not told. Sometimes we do miss you guys, and that creates some problems along the back end of finding out who you guys are and getting you guys involved. But for the most part, a coordinator usually shows up at your cert class. And that's kind of it. It's like after that, you start getting a lot of emails from us if you are on our list, letting you know to come to meetings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you can get started from there. So once you complete the class, one of the things you need if you're going to be an active CERT team member are basically what I call the tools of the trade. And it's not a whole lot of stuff, but let's check it out. What you want to have is basic personal protective gear and equipment and your CERT work uniform. The basic personal protective equipment, if you look in the picture on the right, those backpacks, they've probably got gloves, helmets, goggles, various other items that you're going to use in the field, like tape, maybe medical supplies, etc. Those are things that you're going to need as a active member of the team. In Los Angeles, a lot of our folks are lucky that those basic packs are supplied by the CERT unit at the end of a class. It is important to understand because there are classes who will come to us and say, "Hey, I never got a backpack or a helmet. What's the deal with that?" It is not a given that you're going to get this personal protective equipment. It really is a courtesy that you get it because the unit will apply for a grant from the federal government or whomever, and they'll give them a certain amount of money to buy this stuff, and they'll have it. We teach so many classes a year that a supply can just get eaten up by like the first quarter of the year, and sometimes you don't have availability for classes at a certain point. After that money runs out, it has to be reapplied for, and then maybe you got one class who got it, one class who didn't, then the class behind it gets something out, gets something because they got money, etc. But if you're getting this stuff from the CERT unit when you graduate the class, consider yourself a little bit lucky there. And it's a good starter pack for you guys. So for others, you know, and for most people, it's you basically go out and get this stuff from disaster preparation stores like SOS here in Southern California, or More Prepared. And you can even go for ProPack, which is a national company, which can also sell that stuff to you. Your work uniform. In Los Angeles, there is what we call a CERT work uniform. In the picture on the right, that is one of our members, Jared Kemp, at one of our large exercises. He is wearing what we call the CERT work uniform here in Los Angeles. And the concept of the uniforms were developed not necessarily here exclusively, but it was developed here in Los Angeles for so our people that have a particular way we look when we're out in the field. That is the CERT work uniform. And just to give you an idea of what that work style uniform consists of, take a look. You've got the CERT vest, basic CERT vest, the CERT work T-shirt, and the CERT T-shirt you see is the national branded T-shirt, that rectangular logo, black pants, a boot, could be steel toe, but it needs to be a good black work boot, and the CERT basic cap with white lettering. That is the order that came down from our command that active members of the CERT team should have this work uniform. And the reason why, there's several reasons why a uniform is beneficial in CERT work. One, it gives us a really good image of being competent at doing what we do. Now I know it does. Having a uniform doesn't make you competent, but at least people who see you, and the people who count most in our world are the public, our neighbors, and they need to have that feeling that we are competent and we do have special skills. For the most part, if we come before we had the work uniform, which was about the time I came on, you pretty much could wear anything. And I always like to say this in my meetings with new members. Think about this. An earthquake has happened. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. You're shaking and your family's up and everything. You're trying to get stuff going. Some fellow walks up to your porch at 3 o'clock in the morning. Maybe several of them walk up to your porch, and you peer out and you say, "Who are you people?" And they say, "We're the community emergency response team, and we're here to help you. We've got skills." If you look at those folks and they're wearing Megadeth T-shirts, Bermuda shorts, and high tops with a funny vest on over it, you might not be so confident in that. On the flip side, we deal a lot with the Los Angeles City Fire Department, and the Los Angeles City Fire Department is a paramilitary type organization. They have chain of command. They have a prescribed look that they deal with every day. There's even a way that they even cut their sideburns. There's a such thing as illegal sideburns if they're too long or whatever it is. So we deal with them. And even they sometimes get a little bit leery when they see people creeping up to their station, again, in a Megadeth t-shirt, Bermuda shorts, high tops, and a Cert vest. They kind of look out and say, "Oh, really?" So a lot of our coordinators from that time worked with our command staff at the time, and they came up with this uniform design. There's also a more dress uniform style, which is mostly used by the call out team and the coordinators. But for everybody, this is kind of the work style uniform that we use, especially if we're active. Now, I want to put it out there that we won't turn you away as a CERT member if you don't necessarily have the work style uniform in most cases. The cases where we might say, this may not be good, is if we're working major events, like major outreach sessions, which involve the media and the Los Angeles City Fire Department in terms of command structure, like fire chief and different things like that. We might say we need members to work this event who have the uniform style, because when you have the media creeping around, they're taking pictures of everybody, and you want to project again an air of competency. So personally, I like the uniform style. I like the uniform concept because it actually does make us look much better in the eyes of our community and the department. And I've definitely seen the difference in attitude from when we were doing it kind of free form back in the day to this more uniform style that we use now. As a CERT member, one of the things you want to do is get to know your Los Angeles City Fire Department in general, just how it's built and how it operates. So let's kind of walk through that. Start with the LA City Fire Department organization chart. This is our fire department in short. It's an organizational chart. And for those of you who are into ICS and all that kind of stuff, you might say that it's kind of an ICS chart as well. Let's go to the top and work our way to the bottom. The Board of Fire Commissioners in Los Angeles, we have a Board of Fire Commissioners. They are civilians. They are not sworn firefighters for the most part. They are appointed by the mayor of the city of Los Angeles and serve a term of, I believe, 3 to 4 years. You have a president, a vice president, and 3 commissioners who oversee the LA City Fire Department. They do not oversee general day-to-day operations, but they oversee issues of policy and stuff like that. Definitely, it's the policy that always gets called into question and gets revised, and that's kind of where they have their hands mostly. They do deal closely with the fire chief because they do have recommendations on policy and operations, and they do voice those to the fire chief. The person who actually runs the day-to-day of the city of Los Angeles Fire Department, of course, is the fire chief. The old name for the fire chief was chief engineer and general manager. That was an old term, and before chief engineer and general manager, it was simply chief engineer. But in many cities now, it's just fire chief. The fire chief in the city of Los Angeles is Kristen Crowley, who everybody in LA should have seen at least once, and definitely this past weekend when we were dealing with heavy and torrential rains out here. She runs the department and runs the day to day. Under her are three chief deputies or deputy chiefs. You've got one in emergency operations, which is what you see every day, the fire engines running up and down the street and the various other units that are out there in the field. You've got administration or the chief of staff for the chief, who kind of handles everything along that line, and the administrative operations person. All three of those are interlinked with each other, and they oversee the general day by day in the levels below. You've got on the left side of the screen, you've got your operations central bureau area. And think of those deputy chiefs as mini chiefs, MINI chiefs. You've got a central bureau deputy chief. That person is the chief of that bureau. And Patrick, who comes from Central Bureau, lives in that area. Operation South Bureau. I live in South Bureau. West Bureau and Valley Bureau. Christy Adair lives in the Valley, and Carl Ginsberg lives in West Bureau. You also have a medical director of the Emergency Services Bureau. That medical director, by the way, is a doctor. It's an MD. That person oversees all EMS operations throughout the city of Los Angeles in the fire department. I don't remember who the current director is, but I remember the past director, Dr. Mark Eckstein. And on the flip side over there, on the right side, you've got all the administrative operations. You've got somebody who runs fire administration, the Fire Prevention Bureau, which includes our inspector unit, information and technology, and training and support. Below that, what you don't see, especially under the bureaus, are your battalions and stations. But this is the main part of the LAFD organizational makeup. This particular map shows you our battalions in the city of Los Angeles. The LA City Fire Department is split up into four bureaus, and 14 battalions. At the top of the screen, you folks are seeing the yellow part. That is the valley. That is the valley. That is Operations Valley Bureau, which is the largest bureau in the city of Los Angeles. It is huge, and it has a number of areas, lots of canyons and everything. For those of you, no matter where you are in the country, many of our large fires and conflagrations start in that valley area. So it's a very important area of the city, and one of the largest that's staffed by the LA City Fire Department. Let's go down to this aqua area right here, which you see that kind of wraps around the beachfront, creeps up here in Hollywood, and goes all the way back into what is called the Silver Lake area, the community of Silver Lake. That is our Operations West Bureau area. That area is also heavy brush areas, but it also has areas of pretty dense homes, areas where roads are very tight, and one very large Silver Lake area, which has a Silver Lake in it, the Silver Lake Reservoir. So there's a lot going on. And of course, you've got Venice Beach and the rest of the beachfront going all the way down to, I think, to Dockweiler State Beach. So you have issues of possible tsunamis and different things like that, which have to be dealt with. Just a thought. In the blue area right here, this is my area, the South Bureau area. The blue area starts at approximately West Los Angeles and continues a little bit east, southeast into the Fairfax district, Mid City. You've got Leimert Park. You've got a little bit of South LA in there, and it continues down through historic South Central. down through the Harbor Gateway and into the harbor. That is South Bureau. And this little area right here in beige is Central Bureau. That is our fourth bureau, and that includes the communities of like Mount Washington, El Sereno, industrial East Los Angeles, downtown LA, Koreatown, and a little bit of a portion of Wilshire Boulevard. There's a lot going on in there. Patrick can tell you a lot about this particular area because it's in that Mount Washington area, very hilly and very much prone to brush fires in the summer and probably floods in the wintertime. So that's our these this is the makeup of our city of Los Angeles and how it's broken out. Again, within this map are 14 battalions that operate on a daily basis and a number of stations that are under that as well. And in fact, how many stations does the Los Angeles City Fire Department operate? There are 106 fire stations in the city of Los Angeles, 106 of them. And what more is there to say about that? On the right side, there is a fire station. So in any one of these fire stations, you could have any combination of rescue ambulances, truck companies, and engine companies, and you have 106 of them. It is important for you folks to go out there to know where you are. So, where you are and where you live. For me, I live here in the Mid City area, and my fire station is Fire Station number 68 in Battalion 18, which is just about less than a mile from me. For those of you in the Los Angeles area who are CERT members, and if you've never bothered to find out what your fire station is, go to LAFD.org. And on the website, you can go to the little part of the website which says Find My Fire Station. It will allow you to key in your address, and it will tell you which fire station district you live in. I use this tool on a regular basis, and I'm pretty sure my colleagues do as well. When we have a class that's ended and we get all your addresses, I'm sitting up there all night keying in addresses, trying to find out where people are so I can make sure that they go to the proper CERT community team. And it's important for you guys to know where you are so you can interface with your appropriate fire stations personnel and your CERT community team. Know your LAFD community emergency response team. Whoa, there's that map again. That was not a mistake. In Los Angeles, the CERT program, where it originated, our basic layout is mirroring the Los Angeles City Fire Department. In CERT, we have 4 bureaus and 14 battalions. We have Operation Valley Bureau, which is our Christy Adair. We have Operations West Bureau in green, Carl Ginsberg. We have Operations Central Bureau, Patrick Botts Forbes in the beige. And we've got yours truly in the blue area, South Bureau. And we do have 14 battalion areas where we have 14 battalion teams. Our CERT command we are nestled under the LAFD Homeland Security Division. Currently, it's Assistant Chief Robert Nelson, who's way up there at the top of Homeland Security. And note that Homeland Security doesn't just oversee CERT, it oversees a number of different areas, including the airports and some other things. So we're just one little part of a very large division. People ask, why is it Homeland Security? It's just where LAFD put it. Can't tell you the logic behind it. Our Captain 2 is a gentleman by the name of Rico Gross. He is the disaster preparedness officer for the city of Los Angeles. He is not our direct overseer, but he works with us a lot. His job as disaster preparedness officer deals with a lot more things than just CERT. He's dealing with the public, he's dealing with business, he's dealing with other entities that need to work with disaster preparedness, like the Los Angeles Emergency Management Department, and even the County of Los Angeles OES and the state OES. So that's what our disaster preparedness officer does. Now, the person who oversees us is the Captain One. And I didn't have a chance to update this, but we do have a new LA City Fire Department CERT commander. And and again, going back to the organizational chart, this Captain One, you can say, is the chief of the CERT unit. Just keeping that in mind. Our new captain, by the way, is named Frank Hurtado. He just started with us, and so he will be updating. And for you guys in Los Angeles, he will be getting out and meeting you folks real soon at some of our meetings and whatnot. The CERT office is located in downtown LA. These are what your battalion and bureau coordinators look like pretty much. This is a great picture. It was pre-COVID. This was, I believe, 2019. And these are the people who are our CERT bureau and battalion coordinators. Everybody here is a volunteer. Nobody's getting paid. We all wish we did. And we do this on a very regular basis. For some of us, it's a daily thing. You all know me. It's like it's a daily thing for me and always has been. But these are the people who coordinate the activities for all of you CERT members out there. Many of us are members of the call out team, and we do that. We have that extra responsibility of responding to different incidents and stuff as part of the call out team, but that's a separate duty. When it comes to being coordinators, whenever you hear about, there's a meeting in the valley, Christy's doing her What's in Your Go bag, or you hear about the Gray Burn exercise in Leimert Park, that's us doing it over here in South Bureau. And that's the work of all of our coordinators, and we put an incredible amount of time into the activities and events that we pull you guys in on. I want to say about this particular picture. During COVID, we had a lot. We didn't. When I say lost, nobody died. Nobody died. Just saying. We lost a lot of people due to just attrition, feeling like they've aged out of the program or whatever. So, a few of these folks in the picture are retired from CERT. Just saying. And the captain kneeling with us was our previous captain, one captain back, Captain Cody Wireeater. LAFD CERT Bureau Operations. Your coordinators are myself, as I've said, in South Bureau, Christy Adair in the Valley, Carl Ginsberg in the West Bureau area, and Patrick Botts Forbes in the Central Bureau area, who is also on this call with me tonight. And the battalion areas, just in case you wanted to know. 14 battalion areas throughout the city. That these battalions match up with a spot on that little map that we saw coming into this. Battalion 1 is in Central Bureau. That covers a portion of downtown and industrial East Los Angeles. Battalion 2, you've got Mount Washington through El Sereno. Battalion 4, Westchester through Venice. Battalion 5, Hollywood through Silver Lake. Battalion 6, the Harbor at San Pedro. Battalion 9, much of West LA, including the Palisades. Battalion 10, the Valley. It's like I'm going to be very, very vague with those values, but Battalion 10 is like the Encino area, Studio City. Battalion 11 is Koreatown and a portion of the Wilshire Corridor. Battalion 12, Sylmar. 13, historic South Los Angeles. Battalion 14, a good portion of Studio City, coming on down into I think a portion of Atwater Village, to be quite honest with you. Valley Village, Atwater Village. Battalion 15, crickets on that one. That's the Valley. I forget the area. Battalion 17, Chatsworth Manor, out in the very, very far portion of the Valley. Porter Ranch, Mission Hills. And Battalion 18, my area, which is West LA through Leimert Park. Getting involved, folks. This is where it gets good. This is where now you can get involved in things. What's available to you folks as CERT members? I want to go to this before we kind of get into that. And this particular slate has appeared in every one of our all about series sessions. This actually came from one of our former bureau coordinators, Paul Shively, who's pictured over there. And by the way, Paul was one of the guys who worked with the department at the time, one of the coordinators on duty at the time, who worked and came up with the concept of the uniforms we wear today. By the way, just a little bit of a side note there. But Paul sums up what every member should keep in mind. I'm going to read it word for word because he says it and it really doesn't need a whole lot of juicing up. He said, for everyone that wants to be a part of the CERT team, become known as a participant first. How do you do that? Show yourself off by dressing appropriately at each event. Arrive early at training events. Assist with the setup and offer assistance where needed during the event. Also, and I'm going to add to that, be there for the breakdown as well, because that's as much work. Be an active participant during those training sessions. You know, it doesn't mean that you have to chime in or anything like that, but just be an active participant. Demonstrate leadership level skills via conduct and attitude. Offer suggestions instead of complaints. Take an active role in developing a neighborhood team around your home area. By demonstrating the skills listed above, you become visible and valuable. And I noted some things at the bottom myself, but way down at the bottom is important to me. Be sincere in your efforts. Let me go back to this a little bit. And I kind of got into it more than I should have when I was reading through it. I should have just read through it and then went back through it. Went back through it to offer my opinion or commentary. Show yourself off by addressing appropriately at each event. Again, that goes back to our talk about having your PPEs, all of your equipment, including radios and all that kind of stuff, and having your uniform. That's how you do it. And this and everything else in here is important to members of our team who are thinking that maybe I want to be a coordinator at some point, and maybe I want to be a part of the call out team. These are the things you have to do before you can get to those other levels. Arrive early at training events, assist with the setting up and offer assistance. You have no idea how many people will come and they will flop down and watch everybody just work and sweat and put up pop-ups and all that kind of stuff. You know, see one of us trying to drag stuff from our cars and everything like that. It's like offer some assistance, guys. Be an active participant during training sessions. That can be anything. That can be listening attentively, giving some suggestions and thoughts when appropriate, etc. Be active and dialed in. Demonstrate leadership level skills via conduct and attitude. That sounds like something that should not need reiterating, but I've seen some weird stuff in my time. I've seen screaming matches and people literally stomp away, you know, like they're going to pick up their toys and leave because they're not happy about something. No, can't do that. Offer suggestions instead of complaints. That's something else we see a lot of. Everybody complains about what they think the CERT program should be, or how they don't feel like they're a part of it or whatever. Change that. Offer suggestions. That's what your coordinators and your team leaders are there for. Don't just sit there and complain. Nothing gets done. And this is huge. It's a hard job, but this is a big part. Take an active role in developing a neighborhood team around your home area. That's actually the base duty of every CERT member. If you do nothing else, your role in developing a neighborhood team is exactly what you should be doing. What you have to understand is that the LA City Fire Department teaches the CERT program, but the CERT unit is actually about maybe 10 or 11 people big. It's not big like the overall fire department. It's like 10 or 11 people. They've got about 8 instructors. They've got a captain. They've got an office manager, and actually, it might be less than 11. It might be about 10. Um, they can't they can't take you to that next level and do what the mission calls for. And what CERT called for in its initial design was for trained citizens to go back into their communities and train up other citizens and create teams. So you got to take an active role in that at the very least. That is our core mission. And I know Patrick, my partner off to the side, says that, we get caught up in a lot of other things, including the call out program. And guess what? He's right to a point. He's right to a point because our base mission, which one of our captains, Captain Wynn, stated in no uncertain terms, is to, during a disaster, be in that neighborhood, work with our neighbors. And that means taking an active role in helping to develop those neighborhood teams. It's big. And by demonstrating these skills, you become visible and valuable. If you are that person who wants to be more active, everything above is what you need to do. And you also need to step up and say, "Hi, Mr. Coordinator, or hi, Miss Coordinator. My name is so and so. What can I do? I want to help. I want to be a part of this operation." And that's how you become visible. And, feel free to tell us, it's like, if you need a coordinator in this area, I'd love to be a part of that. And then go on to learn how to be that coordinator. That's how you get visible and valuable. And you can also say, "Hey, I'd like to be a part of the call out team." When it comes to those roles like coordinator and call out, you have to be nominated by a coordinator, an existing coordinator like myself or anybody on the battalion level. It's not like you walk in and you go send a note to somebody and say, "I want to be a coordinator or a call out member," and it just magically happens. There was a time when that probably did happen, but those days are over because we want to have people of really good quality, of good knowledge, and longevity to be a part of this program, especially in those leadership positions. Here's where you can start it all. This is going to be a gallery of some of the things you can do to become an active member of the LAFD CERT team and probably CERT teams in general. I don't see a whole lot of difference between, what we do here and what a lot of other cities do. But one of the biggest things we do is outreach. The idea is to outreach and let more people know about CERT. You would be surprised to know that not a lot of people know what CERT is. And I know it drives Patrick crazy over there. And again, he's right. We always say CERT, we always say the acronym for it. He likes to make sure, and it's something that we're all slowly falling into, that we always say the full name, the Community Emergency Response Team, because people don't know CERT. Some people may not even know what FBI means for all I know. So, we get very comfortable in that. So, outreach operations is one way that we can let people know what the Community Emergency Response Team CERT is. And we do that on a regular basis. Our members are extremely visible in this area. As you can see, one of our members, Ben Skirker, who is in my South Bureau area and who's a good friend and a call out member, he is at an event. This was, I think, 2018. This was a church event in South Los Angeles where he is showing a person walking up to the table how to shut off his gas. We have a model gas setup that we use regularly along with our CERT table, and we show people regularly how to turn off the gas at the gas meter. That is a very important skill, in addition to all other utility shut-off skills that you have. But this is something where you can show yourself off and be an active part of the group. Even if you're not able to maybe do a lot of the physical operations, you can do outreach. And one thing I have to say to everybody is that I've grown to appreciate outreach a lot in the last few years. I was like everybody else. I wanted to do a lot of other things, coordinate and call out and all that kind of stuff. But I always do outreach operations, always have. But I didn't think about it as I do now. For a lot of our members who are not, massively active for whatever reason, doing outreach and talking about those skills, in addition to gas, you could be talking about demonstrating use of a fire extinguisher, hands only CPR, patient carries, different things like that. Just talking about it and demonstrating it keeps your skills sharp. And that's a good thing. So outreach operations very important to us on a number of different levels, and it's something you definitely want to be a part of. And sometimes I see a lot of our members, they want to run around that and say, I don't want to do that. That's just me talking to people. Guess what? That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to talk to people. You're supposed to educate them and let them know what CERT is. In fact, for many of you here, some interaction you had with some CERT person at a CERT booth may have actually drawn you into the program. That's you paying it forward. We have live exercises and meetings. The meetings, they're great. And I will say, my colleague Christy Adair up in the Valley, she does some of the best meetings I've ever seen. I've been to her meetings, and a lot of my folks from South Bureau, they will like shuffle right over there when she has her monthly meeting. She goes through very painstaking steps to create a very dynamic meeting. And the one thing I want to say about the meetings to every one of you as CERT members, please keep in mind that when you get a note from Christy or Patrick or whomever, about a meeting or a training or something like that, do your best to come. And the reason why I say that is because it goes back to what Paul was saying. Be a help at those meetings, because you have no idea how many hours and days and phone calls it takes to really get a good meeting for you guys. I have seen meetings that I've walked into that have like 5 people in it. And it's kind of disheartening, because those coordinators have gone through a lot of work to put that meeting together to only have 5 people come. I think a lot of us wake up in the morning and it's Saturday morning and you'd rather be at the beach, or you'd rather be doing something else, and you don't go. But always think about the people who have put those meetings together. And Christy's one of the best ones. She can pack a house. But for everybody, please make those meetings. And it's very informational as well. This is stuff you need to have so you can grow in your CERT skills. Live exercises, those definitely take work for all of us. When you have an exercise, and this image on the left is from our Grayburn area exercise. Actually, both images are, I should say, from our Grayburn exercise in Lamert Park, which we do once a year in September on the second Saturday of each year. And it's an amazing live exercise where you guys get to get out and test your skills. We do more live exercises than just this one. Patrick does it with our NTP program. We do it monthly. They're not as big as maybe this one that you're looking at, but they will get you out there to practice the skills you need. And you need to practice those skills. You hear it all the time that this is muscle memory. And if you think sitting in that 6 or 7 class session you did with the firefighters is all you need to know, then you are painfully mistaken. You need to practice this to get better, to get more proficient, and to gain skills that you will carry into being a coordinator if that's what you desire, and definitely if you want to be on the call out team. And online Zoom meeting and lecture sessions. Patrick really put this together. This is his brainchild. He's put it together at the beginning of COVID, and it really kept our CERT program alive and viable, among other things. And he's continued it after COVID has quote unquote laid down. We know COVID is still with us, but we're back to our regular lives. He's still doing it. And many of you folks here on this call tonight are from that particular tree. So for everybody else, especially our members here in Los Angeles, take advantage of this. You don't have to go anywhere. This is the best part. You don't have to pull the car out, and you don't have to get on the freeway, and you don't have to drive to like some far off place. It's right here. Take those skills and use them as well. Again, if you want to be a really active and engaged member. Patrick, I know you're there. Do you want to say anything about this particular aspect?
Sure, absolutely. We're trying to engage people in every facet, in every way, because people learn differently. Some people need the in-person. Some people they want to participate, but they can't come out. Um, or it's hosted in, say, coastal San Pedro, and 90% of the city is not going to drive down all the way to the harbor. Or they're hosted in the valley in Woodland Hills, and 90% of the city is not going to drive all the way to Woodland Hills. So the opportunity to put stuff online has given us the opportunity to expand, but we are seeing where things go, constantly reevaluating. When we see a dip in attendance, we don't know if it's because people aren't interested in the topic, or they have other things to do. December, of course, being a busy month, might have resulted in lower attendance, but at the same time, um, we post these online as well on YouTube. So, like, this particular session right now is live streaming to YouTube. So if you want to share it with your friends, family members, anybody who you think can learn something from this, please do, because that way at least we get the message across. And then if you have topics that you want us to discuss, ideas for future meetings or trainings, let us know, because we can come up with ideas on our own, but we might not know what you, the general public, really want to hear from us.
And Patrick, that is very true. I was thinking that while I was sitting here that this is your CERT program. And tell us what you want. It's like that radio show that says, call in and tell me what record you want me to play. Call in and tell us what subject you want, what matters. Again, like Patrick said, we can sit here and spitball subjects till the cows come home, but we don't know what you're interested in. Maybe there's something out there that we have missed. So, your input, again, like we said, like Paul said, speak up, add to the discussion, and we'll bring those subjects to you. I will tell you, Patrick, when he does that monthly training, which is on the third Wednesday of each month, he's working a lot at night. He's the only guy, I always say this, he's the only guy I'll call after midnight because I know he's up, and he knows I'm up. But he's working sometimes even all the way up to just a few minutes before he goes on to like do the presentation. So again, there's a lot of great information here, and we just want to maximize the number of people who are hearing it. And again, if you want to be an active CERT team member, this is stuff you need. And I don't know how to put that out there any more plainly. Being a CERT member, because it's a volunteer gig, it doesn't mean that you can be mediocre at it, nor should you. See if you can gain as much knowledge as you can. And as you know, folks, I'm very passionate about this CERT program, which Patrick, myself, Christy, Carl, and so many other people are involved with and are also passionate about. You folks can become very much involved with the program by working with two-way radios. Two-way radio communications is a very big deal, and I know all of our programs across the nation and the world all have a two-way radio operations aspect to it. Um, Communications is a big thing, as you know. You can have the greatest CERT operation on the planet with the best medical, with the best search and rescue, yada, yada, yada. But if you can't get a message out a block away and you can't hear somebody from a block away, you're just out of business. And many times if you are proficient with two-way radios, you're getting communications out way more than a block. And if you're really good and work with your team, you can create a network. Here in my South Bureau area, we have two GMRS repeaters that we use on a daily basis over here. And we can cover a portion of Los Angeles, stretching as far east from my area to Patrick's area, and as far west to the beach, and as far south into as far, I should say, north towards the valley, and as far south as Carson. Which, for those of you in the LA area, you kind of know the area that I'm talking about. It's a very wide area. But for those of you who have limited mobility, who have not a lot of physical skills or anything like that, two-way radios is a really great place to get started. And for the rest of you, two-way radios is a great way to start your involvement with CERT, quite honestly. The image on one side is from an exercise we did in our Palms area a couple of years ago. That's our Phil Jomtaz over there. He's got his whole little radio setup going. He's got a ham radio setup, FRS and GMRS radios. The image on the right side is actually from where I worked at CBS Studio Center. I used to CBS Studio Center, by the way, which is now Radford Studios, is up in the valley, up in Studio City. And Christy Adair used to be down at NBC right down the street from me. She and I, for many years, had a radio check in that we would do every month. We did it for, I think, about maybe 3 years or so, where I would check in from Studio Center and I would check in with her at the NBC Universal Studios. That was a way, even at work, you know what I'm saying? At work, we were keeping this CERT thing going. And here's a real goodie right here. This is a great thing. The LA City Fire Department, which trained us, offers quarterly refreshers every 3 months or so. What they will do is their instructors, and with our help as well, the coordinators, they will put together a refresher and they will have it they'll have it rotating around the city. The image you're looking at right now is from downtown's Frank Hotchkin Memorial Training Center, and they will host a day of having us get out there, learn some new skills, refresh some skills through classroom operations, and then usually in the late afternoon, we'll get out there and we'll do some hands-on operations. These are available to you. These are golden. And the reason why I say that is because our last refresher, which we had, it was in October of 2023. Um, we had 150 people sign up, 150 people, but only 50 actually showed up. My partners have kind of put that behind them, but it never kind of like left my mind as to how astounding that was. And there's a thousand different reasons why people don't show up, but this is something that's put out there for you, and it's something you should take advantage of. Again, like Patrick said, we don't know what was going on. Was it the holidays? Where was people getting ready for Halloween or whatever it was? Was it evil spirits that just sort of was it evil spirits that just sort of got in there and made people not come? I don't know. But this is very valuable training you're getting from the people who also taught you along with us. So really, really take advantage of that. And it's a great way of getting to know other CERT members. It's a great way of getting familiar with every other area of the city. And again, it is gaining new knowledge and skills out there. So the refreshers are definitely a key thing, if nothing else. I will tell you that at the particular refresher we had in October, we could definitely see where skills were lacking. We're lacking on the people who were there. And so you think of the people who weren't there and the people who aren't that generally active. And again, I've said this to Patrick recently. I said there's probably a lot of people who walk out of the cert class after that sixth or seventh class and think, I got it all. I'm competent. I'm ready to roll if there's an earthquake. And they're going to find out very, very shockingly in some kind of disaster, whether it's a big rainstorm like we just had or whatever, that their skills are not up to snuff. So, again, if you want to be considered an active team member, jump in on these as well. Frequently asked questions. I'd like to deal with that for a moment. ID cards and the dreaded LAFD patch. The ID cards, a lot of people ask us about, and they say, well, I took the CERT program. I'm a team member. I want an ID card. Can I get an ID card? No, you can't get an ID card. And Patrick, I'll call you in on this in a minute because you have that great story that I want you to tell. But I'm going to give the basic rundown. The reason why the city of Los Angeles doesn't issue ID cards to just members of CERT who take the program is because if when you issue an ID card, you're basically saying, I know this person, I vouch for this person. So if you take that ID card and you do something wrong with it, the city might be on the hook for that. And I get that. I understand it completely because when you give somebody an ID card, like I said, you can't get an ID card and not have somebody say, you vouch for them. That's the case. The city of Los Angeles has trained about 80,000 people over the years that CERT's been in existence from 1985 on. That's training a lot of people who come from a lot of different walks of life. And issuing an ID card, that's 80,000 chances for something to go wrong. So they don't do it, and I get it. The ID card you do get, so to speak, is that certificate of completion that you get from the class. That's about all you're going to get. ID cards, though, are given to our call out team members and our coordinators because those folks go through a background check and they're going to find out who you are before they issue you that ID card. So just keeping that in mind. Patrick, I've talked about the kind of the nuts and bolts of it. Go through your shtick on that.
It's interesting because when you're dealing like we do with volunteers, people want some sort of indication that they've made an accomplishment. They take a class, they want a piece of paper that says they did a good thing. They take training and they want an ID card, something like this that says they are somebody. And I question the people's motives because I'm not taking first aid training for a piece of paper. I'm not joining the call out team for an ID card. I'm not taking the CERT training for the ability to wear a uniform. I'm doing it to better myself and to help other people. And I've had members who volunteer all over the place, Red Cross, volunteer, come to our trainings, come to our refreshers, and they say, I want an ID card. I deserve an ID card. And I immediately question their motive because, yeah, they're active, but they haven't shown us that they deserve an ID card. I don't even know if that's the correct terminology. Um, I'm not wearing this when I walk around as some sort of indication that I've done anything. In fact, I haven't, I just, it's been in my pocket. I haven't even worn it the last several things because it's not who I am. The patch on my shoulder that says LAFD is not who I am. It's the people who know me, the people who have trained with me, the people, my colleagues, my other volunteers who look to me as a leader or look to me as someone who is competent and able to do what needs to be done. They're not looking at the uniform, the patch, or the ID card. Yes, it shows the next step, maybe, but that shouldn't be why you're here. That shouldn't be your motive. So anybody tells you that they deserve something for being there, I question their motives. And that's really all I can say about it. If you want to be here, you should be here because you want to be here. You want to better yourself. You want to help your neighbors. You want to help the city of Los Angeles. You want to be of value. And whether or not you get issued a card or a patch or anything like that, that's not the relevant question.
Very well put, and that's why I wanted you to kind of chime in on this particular discussion. It's always a prickly discussion on also as well, as Patrick knows, and he had a member really prickly about that particular item. So it's something that's worth addressing on a regular basis, and that's exactly what we've done. The LAFD patch on the other side, like Patrick said, it's not who you are or why you should be here just to flaunt around that you're wearing the LAFD patch. But on a technical level, the patch is restricted to use by coordinator members and call out team members. If you are a regular CERT member on the neighborhood team, you really shouldn't have the LA City Fire Department patch on your gear and your vests and all that kind of stuff. It can really get weird and prickly on that one too, because in many cases, and I've seen it happen a few times, people have identified members and said, yes, that person is a member of your fire department. It's like that person has a patch on. And sometimes those types of identifications can spur investigations by the LA City Fire Department's um, Professional Standards Division, PSD. And I had to remember that for a moment because they want to make sure that they know who's using what, and it can be a bit of a slap down for you, and because they will come and tell you, the captain will come and tell you, the PSD will come and tell you, here's a seam ripper, take it off because you're not authorized to wear it. And if they really wanted to be kind of difficult with you, they could actually start talking about charging you with impersonating a firefighter. That's on the most extreme end, but I'm telling you guys that just so you kind of keep that in perspective. I know a
Yeah,
lot of excited CERT members will go out and they'll start slapping LAFD patches on everything. And you want to take a little bit of restraint on that because you don't want it to blow back on you. And I
I
will
also
say
want
for
to say,
those,
add on one thing, Jen, is
yes.
that these are not even privileges or it's not even something you earn. It's a responsibility. If you wear that patch, you're responsible because you represent what that patch represents. The people who wear that patch, the firefighters, the people risking their lives running into burning buildings, they earn that patch. And for us to be able to wear it, it's it goes beyond um deserving. It's a responsibility that we understand what that means and will honor that and treat it with the respect that it means. And so you can't drink alcohol when you're wearing that patch. And this has come up. I was at the CERT conference in Galveston, and I was wearing my CERT uniform with that patch on. I walk up to the hospitality suite where they happen to have some alcoholic drinks. And I step in and I get in line and look down and I'm wearing this patch. And I went, whoop, I will be right back because I understood what the responsibility of wearing that patch means.
Absolutely. And it does come with a very large responsibility. I will tell you folks that in those going back to those days when they were creating the uniforms, this was a big deal because at first it was proposed that anybody and everybody who took the CERT program could wear the LAFD patch. And they actually issued a sheet on that. And the first group of certs who got uniforms and stuff, it was said you could wear the patch. Well, the department dialed that back because there was a lot of blowback from members of the department who said, "Wait a minute, how can all these 80,000 people and God knows who and everything, the membership, the members of the LAFD had an issue with that." And like Patrick said, they said, "Wait a minute, we sweat for I forget, 9 months or whatever it is it takes to go through the academy. We were in the tower. We took drill instructors screaming in our ear at 5 o'clock in the morning, and you are going to sit there and tell me that anybody and everybody can wear this patch? You're out of your mind." So they dialed it back, and they actually wanted them to dial it back all the way to where no cert person, coordinator or whatever, would wear that patch, but they reached a compromise and said, your coordinators, your call out team can wear the patch, but it comes with a stipulation. Those people who wear that patch, they need to be background checked. We need to know who they are. We need to know their names, what they look like, and all that kind of stuff, and their address to where they live. And that's the responsibility we carry to this day, is that, like Patrick said, innocently, you might step in line and you might, it's like everybody's got a beer and a Corona in there. You know, if somebody takes a picture of that, that could be a problem. And Patrick realized that and went and changed into his little Izod Lacoste shirt or whatever he's wearing. And, hey, then you can have your fun. And we have to remember that. In fact, I have worked I know of members who have gotten slapped down for like things like that because they were indulging in things like drinking in uniform and stuff like that. And in some cases, it was a very innocent mistake, but it was a big deal mistake. So these two things are kind of big. Other facts, FAQs. Does a code of conduct exist for CERT? Yes, it does. For any one of us who have been in corporate America or in business or just in life, you know that everybody runs everybody else through a yearly, if not slightly more, program of creating a non-hostile work environment, non-sexual harassment, all that kind of stuff. I don't think I have to tell most of you people what that is. But there is a code of conduct that exists for CERT. And here's what happens if you actually violate that code. And keep in mind, yes, definitely for call out people and coordinators. Oh yeah, there's an investigation in it for you. But there's even an investigation in it for you as a basic CERT member. All violations of the code of conduct and applicable policies under the City of Los Angeles will be thoroughly investigated. During the investigation process, involved members will be temporarily suspended from all CERT activities. Pending the outcome of the investigation, progressive discipline includes, but not limited to, verbal counseling, written notice, and restriction of involvement with LAFD CERT program activities, CERT community meetings, quarterly bureau trainings and refreshers, and callouts. Discipline can and may lead up to permanent removal from the CERT program. Now, like I said, for those of us on the coordinator and call out level, definite, because we're we're in that position of leadership, shall we say. But for those of you who are among the masses, the rank and file, don't think you're exempt from it. And I can tell you, because I know members who are no longer members of this program because they did something or said something stupid. Um, we always kind of lament, we laugh, and we say, because the department says certain members are not employees of the Los Angeles City Fire Department of the City of Los Angeles, which is true. But guess what? When it comes to investigating, again, if you say something stupid or do something stupid, they will investigate you like you are an employee or a sworn member of the City of Los Angeles Fire Department. That group I talked about a little bit earlier, the professional standards uh, department, they come looking for you. And I know a few people who they came looking for. And I feel bad for some of those people because really great members, but they did something stupid. So think about that. What we do in CERT is remember one, let's respect each other like we want to be respected. Don't lose your SH asterisk T over something silly. Start screaming at somebody, belittling somebody. And again, like everything else, you know, no means no. I'm just saying, if you kind of stick to that, you're going to be fine. But if you get outside of that, you will get investigated like you were a member of the Los Angeles City Fire Department. And I'm sure our other programs around the area have similar policies. So it's amazing to see how much of that still gets through because people think it's a volunteer group. Nobody cares, and I'm just going to yell at people. You're not going to do that. It's
Let me
ridiculous.
weigh in on that as well.
Absolutely.
Um, Most people, unfortunately, don't know what the community emergency responses team is. But most people have cell phones. We really do not want people to know about CERT because of a viral video of someone in a CERT shirt or vest or uniform um, doing something, hitting on someone, trying to use their CERT volunteerism to get free something or the other, or yelling at somebody or doing something that makes us all look bad. Because it's not that they represent us, but they do. The people who don't know who we are, they see us wearing the vests and they think we're all the same people. And so this is why the code of conduct has to exist, because when you are a minority, regardless of what it is, you're a member of the fire department, you're a member of the CERT team, you're a member of Red Cross, you represent that minority. You represent everyone in that group. And so that's why it's important to make sure that we all are held accountable and to the same standard and don't abuse it and think that we can get away with things.
Absolutely, and a great point there. And one more thing you don't want to do in CERT uniform is get caught up in like trying to solicit money for causes or whatever it is, or endorsing political candidates or getting into politics. All that stuff has no place in CERT and can get you investigated or tossed out or both. And you just really have to remain very vigilant about that. And one thing Patrick said about a viral video of somebody losing their you know what, you know, everybody thinks we're all doing it. Look at the police. Perfect example is police. When if one officer does something that's not really great, a lot of time there is a call about, all officers aren't great. We know that's not true. That's ridiculous. But it is something out there in the public purview. And guess what? We're kind of in that same purview as well. In fact, I'll tell you a quick story involving Patrick. During COVID, or the early days of COVID, when we had that May freedom thing or whatever it is, and people were just not feeling anybody in uniform. I think Patrick, you can correct me if I've gotten it wrong. Somebody, tried to push you around because they thought you were somebody you weren't.
I was running a radio net and I had a CERT shirt on, just the standard community emergency response team on the back, logo, the national logo though. And I was at a taco stand right after, and someone walked up and knocked my cell phone out of my hand. I mean, there's probably no reason for them to do that other than the fact that I was wearing some sort of uniform. That's all I could think.
Yeah. And, that's just the way, sadly, the way things are. And, individually do things to change that, but, keep the understanding that all of this ties in. So Remember, hold the greatest standard out there when you're in the public view. And again, too, again, we're finding ourselves a lot in the eye of the media as well. Cert was mentioned this last week with the rains coming in. The mayor, the chief of the LA City Fire Department, in addition to all the resources that were deployed, CERT was mentioned, and she spelled it out, the Community Emergency Response Team. So we are getting noticed there, and people are turning around and saying, "Who are those people?" The media. I was at one site in downtown Los Angeles, and guess what? The media showed up. They were there to see what we were doing. So there's a lot of opportunity to shine. There's a lot of opportunity to go south in not a great way. And here's another one of those great facts, frequently asked questions. Being a part of CERT, am I automatically a member of the call out team? No. The call out team is actually a specialized team of members. And many people who are probably here this evening are going through the process to become a part of that team. And there are a number of people who are already part of that team who are out there. Myself, Patrick, and many others. Um, but you come into CERT not automatically being a member of the call out team. That's an area that's a group or level that you have to like want to be a part of. Again, what you want to do is you want to become an active member of the community, of your CERT community, and of your team, and let your coordinators know who you are and get those skills up. Be sincere about what you're doing out there. And if that's what you want to do, and guess what? We have members who are fantastic certs who have no interest of being a part of the call out team, but they're fantastic. Hey, either way. But if you want to be that person, that's what you need to do. Now, years past, there was some confusion about the call out team because sometimes our coordinators back at that time, or sometimes even our team leaders, they would say to their members, "Hey, I'm calling you out. I need you for a quick outreach at the park or something like that." There were times when it was kind of confused where a lot of these members saying, "Hey, I'm a member of the call out team. They called me out." Um, we've since changed that terminology, just so you know. And at the last refresher for those of you who attended, the captain swore you guys in as disaster service workers on that day. For those of you who were there, you were there and you remember. He had you raise your right hand and say, "I do solemnly swear." Dot dot dot. And you did a piece of paper that you signed and everything like that. That did not make you a member of the call out team either. In fact, that piece of paper as DSW may have just been covering that day. Patrick, do you want to kind of shore up that back end?
Absolutely. I think it confused everybody. It certainly confused us. It happened a couple of times that I was there. Happened at the Central Bureau Refresher, and then happened the next day at a Valley drill. I think maybe once after that. The disaster service worker, um, it's a program from the state that allows a certain level of protections in case somebody gets injured. And what's confusing about that is there are people who are disaster service workers. They've been sworn in formally. They are usually city employees or government employees or volunteers for a government agency. I had to do some research on it, but those protections can be extended to non DSWs um, for a drill or a training, and they're one-off protections, and that's why I think he had that happen. But it certainly was confusing, and I've never seen it done before like that. But it doesn't mean that you have any obligation if you were sworn in at that point. It just means that you had the protections for that drill from the disaster service worker program.
Exactly. And I know that there were people who walked away that day thinking, hey, it's like, when are you going to call me and I can join you out at that fire in Sylmar? We're not calling you. And as Patrick said, the call out program, you have to go through a next level of training to understand some policies and procedures. You have to go through a background check by the city of Los Angeles. You have to go through a swearing in. That swearing in actually is a very important thing. A lot of people just say, "Oh, I got to raise my hand and say I do declare." That you would be surprised that sometimes our departments have done it wrong, and it becomes an issue when they start sending paper to the state of California saying, hey, well, these people weren't sworn in. It's a big deal. So there's a whole process that you have to go through in order to become a full call out team member. What you are, folks, you're rank and file members and your neighborhood members of the CERT team. So, and by the way, I need to make it clear all of us are members of the neighborhood CERT team, including our call out people. To our call out people, there are going to be times where you're not going to wear that uniform with the LAFD patch on it. We'll talk about that at a later time, but you have to know when those times are because conversely, even with our call out team, sometimes they'll show up at any and every event in their city call out uniform, and they shouldn't do that. But you have to understand some things. So that's a whole other talk. But I digress. But you are not automatically a member of the call out team. And so just remain in the areas of emphasis of where your rank puts you. So that's pretty much it here. Q&A time. I'm going to lose this. I'm going to lose the screen sharing and stop my sharing. It's good to see everybody out there. And whoa, we had 38 people. Nice. Good to see some folks out there. It's like I'm going to go down the list. And good to see everybody. Sue Ellen, it's good to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time out there. Always a pleasure. Um, Q&A. Who's got it? Raise your hand if you've got Q&A. If you don't, I'm going to know that we were really good tonight and we covered everything. But I don't think that's always the case. So feel free to ask questions if you have them. Patrick,
You are that good.
I guess I did my homework on this one. Um, Anybody have any comments? As I like to say, questions, comments, editorials that you guys would like to get out there. And folks, if you guys are from differing CERT teams from other cities, feel free to speak up. You will be heard. Um, Vincent Ababao in the chat said, I guess I'm good out there. Okay, I'm good. Philip Armstrong. It's like, Patrick, would you like to undo him? And your hands up, Philip Armstrong. Go ahead with your question.
Yeah, I'm working on getting a cert training done in the April-May timeframe, and I'm going to miss one of the classes, like the first one, and I wanted to get go to a makeup, and there aren't very many on the website that are near where I live, and I just wonder if there are other classes that aren't posted.
Well, Philip, I want to kind of jump in that. You said you're going to miss the first class, yes?
Yes.
Okay, you're actually pretty good. With the LA City Fire Department CERT program, the instructors the instructors will tell you that the first class is really just an overview of what's to come in the next 6 classes. You can miss that class. Just make sure, though, that you show up for that second class and everyone after that. If you miss anything after that first class, that is something you have to make up. But I think otherwise, you're good. And as far as any other classes that might be out there, there are probably classes that are waiting to get posted because the department posts them, kind of incrementally. They may have them all laid out. They may have them all laid out for the rest of the year, for all I know, but they only post them incrementally. So check back every so often if you need to make up something. But Philip, I think you're going to be fine. If you miss that first class, no one's going to scratch your name off the list, but make sure that you come to that second class and take it from there.
Well,
Great.
I
And
would say mention to the instructor at the beginning or at the end of the second class that you missed the first one. Make sure you get on his or her roster, just so
Mhm.
that you do have accountability and can get counted for the rest of the class. And they'll probably say it's fine, but check with the instructor.
Yeah,
and are there
and
any?
just
Okay, sorry, I was just going to say, are there any recorded versions of the first class or other classes?
And what was that? I was actually looking at something down here for you, Philip. Vincent Ababao is saying that you're clear as well. But what was that question one more time, Phil?
So in other words, like if if I still wanted to see what I missed, is there like a recording of the first class?
In that case, there isn't a recording because they do the classes in person and not on Zoom, and they don't record. You would have to find another class session to go to get that first class content.
Mhm. Okay, thank you very much.
And they
Thank you,
do run
Philip.
the classes every other month. Every odd month starts a new set of classes. So just keep an eye on the website, on the cert-la.com website. There's an Eventbrite page, and just keep an eye. If you see one pop up, then reach out to the instructors and say, "Hey, I missed my first class at this session. Can I attend yours just for the first session?" And they'll probably say yes.
Thanks.
And anybody else? Questions, comments, editorials?
Well, Chin, I just want to chime in real quick to praise Christy again. Wanted to reinforce that. I've taken a couple of classes, and she does put a lot into her class, and it's a great refresher, the things she goes over. And I just wanted to, give her some more praise. That's all.
She deserves it. And for those of you who are in the Valley Bureau who know Christy, Christy's been doing this longer than I have, and Patrick. And she's just a real pro. And she really puts her heart again into the meetings, the trainings, and everything. She puts her heart into it, and she really shines through. Again, I've had people come from my bureau here in South, and they come back raving for days about the activities she puts together. So she's truly amazing, and I've enjoyed working with her for the 10 years I've been here. And I know Patrick would probably say the same.
Absolutely. There's a
Where do you
question
get
in
the
the
caps and the t-shirts for the uniform?
And Jackie, come back in, and Patrick, I'll get back to you in a second. Jackie, what was your question?
Where do you get the cap and the t-shirt? You said that's part of the uniform.
And you're in the city of Los Angeles?
My church is in the city of Los Angeles, so Pacoima. So I went to the training there, so I have that. But I live in the city of Santa Clarita, and I've had the LA Fire Department. So I don't know if that's okay or not, but
No, we have members who are part of our program who come from adjacent cities. We have members who are over here from Santa Monica, from Culver City, different odd places. So that part's easy. You're up in the valley, you're up in Santa Clarita. One of the places I would recommend, and I don't know if we can put it in the chat somewhere, Patrick or whomever, SOS Survival. You can get your shirt and your hat at along with your PP, your personal protective equipment, and other
okay,
things there at SOS. You can actually buy
okay,
that stuff online and pick it up in Van Nuys. Just
very
make
good.
sure this. Yep, this is just one thing I'll say. Make sure with the hat And it's a weird thing to kind of harp on. When it says cert on the top, make sure it's cert in white. Cert in white.
In white. Okay. All right then. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie.
So there's a question in the chat. What's the difference between CERT and NTP? And Shin and I are the ones really pushing the neighborhood team program. It actually originated in South Bureau in Battalion 18, started by the Battalion 18 coordinator prior to Chin. The way we're developing it is it's not a difference, it's more of a continuation. For those of you who've taken the CERT training, you've realized that you get a lot of skills and knowledge from the CERT class. A lot of how to use a fire extinguisher, how to do medical triage, how to do basic disaster first aid, how to search a building. But what that class doesn't tend to do is teach you how to put it all together. And so we've really developed the neighborhood team program as taking CERT to the next level, putting all the skills that you've learned into action. So we've developed step-by-step guides, we've developed standard operating guides, we've developed templated drills so that you can see how CERT is taken from the classroom and applied at the neighborhood level to develop the neighborhood team. A lot of times we have people asking, okay, so I took the CERT training, now what? Or I took the CERT training and they said, start a team. How do I do that? Well, that's where the neighborhood team program comes in. It's stuff that we've developed over the years we've been doing this, and put it down on, not on paper, but online in, step-by-step form so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And it's not you have to do it this way. It's an example. It's one way it can be done. Hopefully gives you an idea of how to get started. Saying, oh, and then when you come to our drills, you can see, again, a way things can be done. So you have an idea how to take this back to your own neighborhood, develop your team, work with your neighbors, and not have to come up with all this stuff on your own.
And that is actually a very good walkthrough of the neighborhood team program. And in fact, the fact that that question came up, I should have actually had that in my FAQs because that is one thing that comes up all the time. What's the difference between CERT and the neighborhood team program? One thing I will add to Patrick's explanation is the neighborhood team program is the best. I call it the best of three programs. It's an integration of three programs. One is CERT, of course, the Community Emergency Response Team, the Los Angeles Emergency Management Department's Ryland program, which stands for Ready Your Los Angeles Neighborhood. That particular program teaches you how to map your neighborhood, how to build basic teams, what to do in that first golden hour after a disaster. And then you've got LAPD's Neighborhood Watch. When this program was created here in Battalion 18 prior to my arrival, they worked with CERT, EMD, and the LAPD to put it all together. And from that time on, it's been around. It did experience a slowdown for a significant amount of time. It actually didn't. It was just very much present here in South Bureau, just not anywhere else. And the intent was always to get it all over the city, make it a tool that our members, like yourselves, the public who is interested in interfacing with us and learning, and all three of those operations, CERT, LAPD, LAEMD, everybody could be a part of. And Patrick started the effort to relaunch it either a little bit before COVID hit hard or definitely during COVID. Yeah. And this is the incarnation we've got now. What we've done is at the center, we've kept that basic heart of what was originally created by Larry and all those other people at that time. And Patrick built in the step-by-step guides. He also built in the concept of the monthly exercise. So all that stuff kind of came together. Now, in the frequently asked question part, I'm going to go to like the big myth about NTP. It is not coming to take over from Cert. It is not the big dog rolling into town, and you all are going to have to wear an NTP uniform or anything like that. What it is, it's an integration of the three best things to help lead you, actually to help lead you into Cert primarily. It leads you into Cert, but it also gives you knowledge of Ryland and your neighborhood watch, especially if you're already part of neighborhood watch. So that was a little bit more than probably you expected, but this was an opportunity to kind of put that out there.
And one of the things that CERT teaches you is, as a CERT graduate, you're expected to be able to work with non-CERT trained members in your community and lead them. But it doesn't really teach you how to do that. And that's where a neighborhood team program comes in, as we integrate. It is all community. So we're working with businesses, we're working with houses of worship, we're working with the non-CERT trained members who are going to want to help you, going to want to help the neighborhood, going to want to help their neighbors, but haven't gone through that formal training. And maybe they have skills. Maybe they're EMTs, they're first aid trained, they're a nurse or something, and they want to be, or retired medical personnel. You, as a CERT graduate, will be the team leader, and you might have your entire team made of non-CERT members. And that's not trained, not taught in CERT, but that's the expectation, is the convergent volunteers will be part of your team, and it's your job as a CERT graduate to keep them safe. And that's why when we do the NTP drills, which we're now calling CERT drills because they really are, that's why we welcome the community and non-CERT trained members to attend and be part of the team, so that you get the practice leading non-CERT trained members. And it gives the people who want to help an idea of what CERT's about, so that they can then be incentivized to join the team. But also, maybe they're too busy and they can't. At least they get to participate. With a CERT refresher put on by the fire department, unfortunately, those non-CERT trained members are not able to participate in the refresher, but our drills, they're able to join.
And that's a great thing as well. One of the things Patrick and I talked about a long time ago and multiple times is what was our mode of operation pre NTP. And I talked about this last night at a session I did over here in Arlington Heights. If somebody came up to me back in the day of when I first started doing this, I would have said the standard line that we all said at the time. Yes, Patrick. Hey, Patrick, while you're there, just simply say you want to join CERT. Patrick, say to me you want to join CERT.
Hey, how do I join CERT?
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? I want to get disaster trained. I think that's a better question.
How do I get disaster trained?
How do you get disaster trained?
How do I wear
I'm going to pull
that awesome uniform you're wearing?
I'm going to pull out of my pocket my card and hand it to you. Go to the website, take the CERT class, and see me when you're done. That would have been our answer a number of years ago. And we realized, and through the neighborhood team program, and that's what actually brought the neighborhood team program to life, was that we were losing so many people who were interested and wanted to be a part of the effort. But what we thought at the time, everybody should be CERT. We want you to be CERT, yes. But here's the reality we also realized. And Patrick kind of touched on it. At 2:35 in the morning, when that earthquake happens, we had a captain who was fascinated with that time of the morning, and he'd always say, at 2:35 when the earthquake happens, I'm not going to be standing next to Patrick. I'm not going to be standing next to Christy, and I'm not going to be standing next to Carl. I might not be standing by anybody who wears this uniform. It's me and my neighbors. And I think most of you out there know that's the truth. If you're lucky, you may have a Cert member somewhere within a mile of you, but that mile during a disaster miles will be 100 miles. So you need to be connected and already have that neighborhood team, which is probably just your members living next door. It's Lucas living next door to me. It's Chuck across the street. It's Lisa up the way, and I need to lean on them. And that's why we do the thing we do, among other things.
I think the question that would come up at an outreach booth is, "Hey, how do I be part of the team?" And the answer was, "You take the CERT training and then you come back and see us." Now it's, "Here's the drill that's coming up. Here are available CERT classes. If you can come to the drill, come to the drill. See what it's all about. Participate. Here's if you can attend the CERT training, do it. But if you can't, still come to the drill because you don't have to be CERT trained to attend the drill and participate and be part of the team. And that's where we're trying to change things because 7 weeks, one night a week for 2.5 hours is a huge commitment. And not everybody can make that commitment. And we shouldn't expect that they have to when we need them to be available and be part of the team, even if they're not CERT trained yet.
Very true. Very true. So we've had a lot of good discussion here. Are there any other questions, comments, or editorials?
And speaking of the next drill, I did post it in the chat. It is Saturday, February 24th. It's going to be an incident response drill at our Studio City staging area. It's at Radford Studios that was mentioned earlier. I posted the link to it. It's LAFD Cert-drill-February 2024.eventbrite.com. Eventbrite's done something where they no longer allow for free events with more than 25 tickets. So if you see that the event is sold out, it doesn't mean it is. Just come anyway. The information is on the Eventbrite. Everything you need to know about the location and time and date. Come, even if you're not CERT trained. Bring your neighbors, even if they're not CERT trained. This is the great opportunity to see what this is all about and how it's implemented, and also get a chance to see our staging area kits that we're deploying throughout the city.
And yes, we do. All right, guys, 8:52 on the clock. Anything else out there? Questions, comments, editorials?
And
All right.
the third Wednesday of the month is our continuing education training on Zoom again. And that's going to be February 21st. I'll go ahead and post the link as well. This one is marked as full, but the Zoom information is on there. And the topic is going to be everyday skills learned through the CERT training. One of the things that we used to say is that CERT training is about disaster preparedness and disaster response. It's in my opinion actually more than that. It's about skills and knowledge to help you in your everyday life. Things that should have been taught in high school. Basic first aid, which isn't taught in high school. Knowing how to turn off your gas, where your water meter is, being aware of these things. I had a neighbor who called me frantic or texted me, and she had some work done on her house and suddenly had a pipe burst and didn't know how to turn off her water. And I was fortunately able to come over and find the water shut off and turn it off because I knew where it was and I knew where it used to be, because on her unit, it wasn't where it was on mine, but it was where it used to be. And this is stuff you should be aware of if you're a renter, knowing this stuff and not relying on your landlord. How do you turn off the circuit breakers or reset the circuit breakers if you pop a circuit? How to, what to have in your go bag if you need water, flashlight, how to store stuff. This is all stuff you use in your day-to-day life. We don't get disasters in Southern California very often. I mean, obviously earlier this week it was a declared disaster, but relatively speaking, compared to the other parts of the country, we don't get it as often as they do. We don't get it as seasonally as they do. So the everyday skills you're going to learn from this to just live your life better prepared, you learn a lot in the class. And I think that's what we should be pushing when we talk about this training. And that's what we'll be talking about, these kinds of skills. February 21st, 7 p.m. Website is LAFD Cert-February 2024.eventbrite.com. Link is in the chat. Please invite your friends.
And if you didn't get all that, just reach out to us and we'll send you those links out there. So looking good out there. And to kind of dovetail off of what Patrick just said, this rainstorm, which we just had, it took us into a different realm. I'm near Baldwin Hills, and I talk about it all the time. And not a lot happens in Baldwin Hills, but it's happening now. And it's something that I can tell you, even the folks in Baldwin Hills did not see coming. Because, like Patrick said, we have more days where nothing happens. And because we have those days where nothing happens, we are always astounded by it when it does happen. Think of Cert as your insurance policy. You're driving around in your car, you're very happy when you've got insurance when you rear-ended somebody, because at least, many times it's not that whole burden on you, but you're glad you got it. You don't use it a lot if you're lucky, or even like health insurance, you don't use it a lot except for our routine stuff, but you're glad you got it when you need it. And it's amazing how many people don't have those basic skills of knowing where their utilities are or anything like that. I am astounded too when I find out that people don't know where their gas meter, water meter, or electrical shutoffs are. It's astounding, but that's where we are. So there we go. I want to turn over and give the last question of the night to Philip Armstrong. He's got another one out there. Come on up and ask that question, sir.
Yes, hi, I appreciate it. So as I mentioned, I was going to be in this CERT class, and the idea is to start a neighborhood team. And I thought maybe you had mentioned that there was like a handbook or something like that that would kind of like lay out how to do this.
Yeah, I'll post in the chat our document package.
I
If you go
appreciate
to the
that.
website documents.ntp-la.org, documents.n as in neighborhood, T as in team, P as in program, -LA as in Los Angeles.org. There's an introduction page. There's a step-by-step on how to start your neighborhood team, working with the neighborhood council system. First of all, reach out to your CERT coordinators and let them know that they have a potential team leader in their area and you want to get this started, because they can't do it for you, but they can work with you and then bring us in, Chin, myself, Christy, to help get this going. And we work together at the bureau level so that we're supporting each other and each other's teams. And then if there's support mechanisms there as well, reaching out to neighborhood council system, we have a 501c3 that's able to work with them on getting grant money for staging area kits.
And I want to say to you, Philip, at the most basic level, it's a very daunting process. And a lot of people who try to do it, they burn out very quickly because it is very difficult. For you, that will be a support mechanism for you. So you've got the experience of your CERT coordinators, you've got the experience of your NTP people who are also CERT people, and everything to back you up. So at no time should you actually feel like, wow, this is too big and what have I gotten myself into? It is definitely more of a marathon to make this happen, but we're here to walk it with you. So just
I do
think
want
about that.
to also say that really part of what the neighborhood team program is reaction to how CERT is taught at a national level, really. It's a lot of train and release. It's a lot of, okay, we gave you all the skills, now you figure it on your own. We're not doing that anymore. We're here to say we've done this, or we at least have seen this, and we're here to help you. We're here to hold your hand. You need to do the work. We need the team leaders to be the people who we build the teams around, but we're not going to say, okay, here's an encyclopedia sized floor watch edition that you're going to have to read through and figure it out on your own. No, we're partners. We're going to be here to help you make the right decisions, but we're not going to force you either. We're going to guide you along the process and say, hey, we've seen this go that direction. Having a staging area at a school doesn't work because XYZ. They go into lockdown. And so let's find a better place, and we'll help you with that.
Amen to that. And I want to get the ever fabulous Sally Thompson in there.
Thank you. Not earned. But question, I just went into the chat and tried to register, and it already said sold out for the 21st Zoom.
Yeah, you're gonna have to you can add to the wait list, but if you read through the description, it gives you the Zoom information for it.
Oh, it
Just
does.
click on the
Okay.
Zoom. Yeah, click on the Zoom link and you can register with Zoom directly.
Okay, thank you. Great information tonight, as always.
Thank you, Sally. And for those of you who may not know Sally Thompson, she was our former Battalion 10 coordinator, still a member of the call out team and one of our best members out there. So there you go. And we are at the top of the hour, 9 o'clock. We have made it through. Before I do my closing, which Patrick is inevitably going to interrupt at some point, I've just learned to live with it. Or Jose, who I know is sitting out there someplace just waiting to drive me crazy so I can say he's fired. Are there any last questions, comments, or editorials?
I did put my email address in the chat. So if you do have any questions, or you're interested in getting started with the neighborhood team program in your area, or need help finding your coordinator or finding a class, reach out to me and I can point you in the right direction and help you get started.
Hey, Chin.
Awesome.
Chin,
Yes.
I'm not going to interrupt you, but Mike Diaz posted something on the chat about he has a group that's interested in NTP.
Mike will be in touch, and I got to get in touch with you anyway on your exercise over there. So we'll talk about all that stuff together. So, all right. Thank you, Jose. And hey, it's good to see you, brother.
Long time no see.
There was 29 of him earlier while you were presenting.
Man, I pressed the Zoom link and it went crazy on me. It just like I had to shut my computer down and restart it all over.
And that's one too many Jose's.
No,
I can't.
I will take 29 Jose Mortayas any day.
Or you know what? I do have to backtrack it, but that's 29 of them I have to fire at least at once.
At least once. Well, you haven't fired me in a while, so that's okay.
Well, it's like it would take me an extra minute to do that, so I'm not going to do it. And to everybody out there who's joined us for this presentation, it's like thank you guys, especially you folks who came from other cities and everything like that. It's like you are so welcome here. It's like come anytime. I'm glad Patrick put it out to you folks and had you guys come. And feel free to reach out to us if there's anything that comes to mind. Please do reach out. And as I like to say at the end of every presentation, I do thank you for the privilege of your time. You guys could be anywhere, any place, doing anything else than hear us jibber jabbering over here. But that really tells us how much you care about your community and how much you care about the CERT program. To our call out hopefuls, I hope you got something out of it. This will take you into the call out team. To our coordinators who joined us, thank you guys. I saw Vincent Ababao out there. Jose, who is here, and whoever else is here. Hope you guys got something out of it and hope it helps the mission. And that's it. Until the next time, which I believe will be the third Wednesday of this month, I am going to say, have a good night, everybody. Be safe. We'll see you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Later. Good night.